Hello everybody, this is Lance Campo from lancecampo.com, and today I'm going to show you how to change the transmission fluid in your a55 engine from Tomos. Alright, well I'd just like to start by saying that this is not a difficult task. You'll only need a few items that are found at any local auto service center. So let's have a look. This is about all you're going to need to do a transmission fluid change on a Tomos a55. You'll need a small standard toolkit. You'll need a funnel. You'll need some transmission fluid. You can see here I'm using the Type F variety. This is an empty container to store the old fluid, and obviously some towels to clean up with afterward. Alright, well for the first thing, we're going to take off the engine cover. Alright, this is the Tomos a55 transmission case, as you can see here. And in order to access the bolts that we're going to need, I'm going to have to remove the air filter from the carb. This is an unipod filter for anyone interested. It needs to be oiled, it's a little dry. I've already shut the fuel off, so let's take off the air filter. Alright, so we have our air filters off, as you can see. We're going to put that aside. Alright, now the first thing I like to do, obviously, is just give it a little wipe down so that everything's nice and clean. You can do this afterward if you like. There's lots of misinformation about this procedure out there in the online forums, so I'm going to try and break it down for everybody really simply. There are 3 bolts that you need to access in order to do this procedure, and they are this one. This is where you actually put the transmission fluid in. This one. This is the adjustment hole that everyone talks about. We'll get back to that in a minute. And underneath, you can see right here, this one's a little chewed up a bit more. This is where you empty the fluid from. So, the first procedure we're going to be doing is obviously emptying out the old transmission fluid. Alright, let's position the camera here so everyone can see where I'm going. Alright, this is a European bike, as everyone knows, so most of the tooling is done in metric. However, for some of the bolts you can use imperial. This is a 13mm bolt, but a 1/2 inch socket will also work. Alright. Okay, the bolt's now loosened a little bit. I can start doing it by hand. Not too much though, I don't want the fluid to come rushing out. Oh, there she goes. Okay. Making sure that the engine's warm will help this process. It'll help to drain out whatever fluid's inside. 300 milliliters is about, I think it's about 10 or 11 ounces, 10.5 ounces maybe, of fluid. That's about as much as you want in your transmission. Alright, the majority of the fluid has now been drained, so we'll replace the bolt and gasket back into the hole here. Alright, we'll tighten that up again. Okay, let's have a look at these other bolts. Now, this is where you're actually going to be putting the fluid in, and this is the bolt that you need to remove in order to make sure that you put the proper amount of oil in the transmission. So we're going to start with that. Alright, now this is critical. These threads are the standard Phillips. They're quite large. They can get damaged easily if you use the wrong size of screwdriver. So make sure you use a large one. That will allow adequate and proper seating during removal. Alright, for the moment we leave this open. Alright, now we're going to be removing this bolt. There we go. Now comes the point where we add the transmission fluid back into the engine. This is ATF Type F, automatic transmission fluid. Some of you are using Mercon 3 or Type A. I like this one. So I got myself a little funnel here, and we'll start to add a little bit. In order to get the correct amount of fluid in the transmission, we pour oil, or transmission fluid rather, into the tranny until it comes out of this hole. And you'll see in a moment, transmission fluid will start to come out. Uh-oh, it's dripping a little bit up here on top. There it goes. Okay, we've added enough. Little spillage is okay because I have my paper towels at the bottom catching the drip off. Alright, we'll sop up some of that oil and we'll put back the Phillips head screw Okay, so that's basically it. The last thing you have to do is to replace the bolt back on the top. Make sure you put some good force there to keep it nice and clean and tight. Put your air filter back on your cover, and that's it, you're done. You've changed your transmission fluid on your a55. Recommended that you do that once every, I think it's 1,000 or 1,500 miles. Might be able to go a little longer depending. All right, just put this bolt back here. All right, put the air filter back on now. And we're going to take it for a little bit of a test. Well, basically that's the long and the short of it. That's how you change your transmission fluid on a Tomos a55 engine. Not very difficult or complicated. One of the best reasons to own a moped is the low cost of maintenance and the ability to do most of it yourself. Let's have another look and listen for those of you who I know who are just dying to hear it.